हम सब आ गई नहीं आ रहा के हम सब सोच रहे हैं ये बात था ओ हो चली जाती है अभी मजे आ जाती है
वीडियो बन गया भाई बन गया फिर
आराम अभी झाड़ा फिर देती हम सब ऐसा है प्रोडक्शन बजट कम होने की वजह से जनरलों में ट्रैवल करना पड़ रहा है क्या करें तो भैया हमारा आरा आना हुआ था बिहार फ्लोटिंग हाउस के निर्माता और सेंटर ऑफ रेजिलियंस के फाउंडर प्रशांत भैया से मिलने पर यहाँ हमारी मुलाकात एक और दिलचस्प इंसान से हुई तो प्रशांत भैया से बातचीत अब अगले एपिसोड में फिलहाल के लिए स्वागत करते हैं पहली बार ऑल द वे फ्रॉम स्कॉटलैंड बेन रीड हावेल्स का एकदम फुल इंटरनेशनल हो गया अभी अपन बिहार
अरे वाह बढ़िया ठीक बानू हाँ बिहार एक नंबर
तो I was getting into the Bhojpuri side.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know, first I wanted to know something about you, how you started, what kind of education you are having, and how you met Prashant and you started working together towards climate change, towards Center of Resilience, or towards the floating house. How everything happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So my family's from Scotland. I grew up in between Scotland and Canada. I did my university degree in interdisciplinary sustainability. And I realized that university academia was actually taking me further away, not closer to the communities I wanted to work with.
Okay.
So I thought instead of doing a master's, I will do an alternative master's. I'll travel the world and I'll learn how different communities are creating action, creating change in a positive way.
Yeah.
So that work took me to India, and I was teaching in a college in Pune, and that's when I met Prashant.
Okay.
I said to him, look, I plan on traveling on this Royal Enfield Bullet from here to Scotland. Would you like to come? And he said, absolutely. And we knew that we had different skills. Now, he had all the Drugar mechanical skills, I had different skills. So we started the journey, and that journey led us to Bihar. In Bihar, we witnessed the flooding of 2017. And we said, TK, we need to pause this journey and do something here. We built the Bihar House, which is behind us now, and that became the birth of the Center of Resilience.
Yes.
So now I support Prashant, who really leads the work on the ground. I support from afar as an international director to build support, solidarity around the world for the work that we're doing here in Bihar.
So time and again you keep coming over here and...
Yeah, I'll come when I can. Mostly I work remotely, coordinating volunteers, interns, fundraising campaigns, media, to keep the work going on the ground.
So how was your experience of Chhat this year?
Chhat was beautiful. It really touched me, nah? And I think in India and around the world, we're losing so much this native culture and traditional way of doing things. And I think people don't realize how precious Bihar is.
Yeah.
That Bihar has been strong and has fought to preserve its true indigenous cultures. Bhojpur language, Chhat Puja, all these things.
Yes.
So I think it's worth fighting for.
Yeah, that is completely true. And when you are talking about the languages, when you are talking about the culture, we do have a very great history, right? But a lot of people don't understand that, right? And you will see people on internet bashing Bihar, and you'll see some mostly people who are in my age, right? They don't understand that what kind of gravity Bihar is having, right? Maybe even I don't understand that what kind of things are there, and someone like you who has come all the way from Scotland and you know so much about it, so that means a lot. Also, you mentioned about floods, right? So do you think that this is something which has a possible solution? Because most of the people, they say that this is nature, right? This is nature's cause. But at the end of the day, people also understand that maybe this is our doing, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what is the possible things that we can do from our side?
So we know that flooding is natural, but we also know that we're currently experiencing anthropogenic climate change, which means human-caused climate change. And we know the flooding is getting worse every year because of climate change. We also know that we are currently developing, not just Bihar, around the world, developing our cities, our homes in ways that are not sustainable, only using cement, etc. So the way that we are approaching the crisis of flooding is saying, look, we need to learn how to build our homes differently, how to live differently, how to grow our food differently, treat our wastewater differently. And that's where the Climate Resilient Village project, of which the floating house, the Bihar floating house, is the first test.
Yeah.
The next stage is designing an entire village.
Yeah.
And our vision is that it's not just about a house that floats. It's about villages that during the 3 months, more or less, of flooding season, they can rise and fall with the water, TK. But it's more than that. It's about creating a way of living, almost coming back to a Sanatan way of life with a modern jugaad. So we are able to, even if flooding isn't the only issue we face, we'll face droughts in the future. We'll face mass economic collapse. All of these forms of climate change and climate chaos are coming to Bihar and the rest of the world. So this village is about creating entirely autonomous systems where we remember that we actually are meant to be stewards of the land. We're not meant to just take resources from Mother Earth. We're meant to restore her well-being. After the last very short period of post-colonial industrial ways of living that destroy the earth, it's time for us to remember we're meant to heal the earth. So that's what this village, the climate resilient village, is about.
So you're saying that, you know, every house that you people are designing, it is supposed to be, you know, independent, supposed to be Atmanirbhar.
And
So
also
those kind of
codependent with each other, because this recent American culture of isolation, independence, individualism, that's not Bihari culture. Bihari culture, sab parivar saath mein, hai na? So this is what we want to remember also, that we're stronger together. And that means also between different groups, castes, class, religions. Na Chhath Puja is also a Muslim festival and a Hindu festival. Bihar has so many richness that can remind us of how to live together. And in the floating house work, the climate resilient village project, which is coming now, we're designing entire networks of houses where people are using the same resources for crisis relief work, for schooling, for solar energy. So people have to learn to rely on each other, to build networks of solidarity as well, because that's what the whole world will need to survive climate chaos, is solidarity.
Exactly. आपने छठ पूजा की बात की, right? You talked about छठ पूजा. So in छठ पूजा, whenever we go to ghats, na, whenever we go to rivers, so it is not like who is Brahmin, who is belonging to which caste. They are all at a same ghat and they are all praying together.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So that is the solidarity that we are talking about, and that is the uniqueness. Yes. मैं डर गया.
No. Chalo. You stay.
कैमरामैन नीलकमल साहब, थोड़ा सा इधर भी लीजिए. देखिए कितना बढ़िया व्यवस्था हो रखा है. ऊपर सोने होने की व्यवस्था है भाई, देखिए. ये देखिए कितना पुराना जमाने का बुलेट रखा हुआ है. देख रहे हैं?
This is the one that Prashant started the journey on.
This is the one.
He started. He did all of India on this.
अच्छा, okay. I think this is a very old model, na?
Yeah.
And Ben also mentioned one interesting thing, that he has not done master's degree. He has done a master's which is not recognizable by any university, but it is recognizable by him, and he understand it is a degree, which is also great, because, you know, even in our saying it is there that when you do a lot of traveling, you understand the world, you learn those things that you haven't taught in your classes. So tell me something about the journey that you and Prashant started from here to all the way Scotland. What kind of challenges were there? How you started? How much time was there and everything?
And I'll connect it in also to education, because I'm also a teacher and educator. And one thing I think we need to recognize is that the current education system trains us to be useful in the current work system. The capitalist industrial work system that we have learned is destroying our planet. So if we want to stop that cycle of destruction of our planet, if we want to start healing the planet, healing each other, ourselves, we need to be very critical of the educational system and think, what else do we need to be learning in the world in order to have the skills we need moving forward? So leaving academia and going on this series of projects with Prashant, I certainly learned different ways that communities are achieving a huge amount with direct action, which is a form of, it's activism. Now it's saying, look, we're not waiting for the government to say yes, for institutions to give us funding. We're going to work together as a community, as a village, as a women's group, refugees, what have you, flood victims, to make something happen, to address our needs. And along the entire journey, the entire Vasudhaiva ride, our work was needs-based and responsive. The same as the center. We only work if we have skills that connect with the needs a community has. And in a way, that whole journey was training for Prashant and myself before launching the Center of Resilience here.
So 22 countries you have been there, na? So what countries are these? Like entire Europe?
India, Nepal, Tibet, China, Xinjiang province of China, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, across the sea to Armenia, actually Uzbekistan as well, Georgia, Turkey, into Greece, several European countries that we had to cross quickly because Prashant's visa was going to expire, and then through several countries of the UK, England, Wales, Scotland. And as we traveled, sometimes we knew, TK, we'll be doing a project here for 2 weeks, and we would stay for 4 months because a need was there. And the need matched our skills, and we would stay, for example, in Kyrgyzstan. We went for a few weeks and stayed for 3-4 months, working with indigenous Kyrgyz artists, with women's groups, with the Artists Union of the Kyrgyz Republic. And in this way, we've been following what we call the goddess of emergence. Now, maybe you have your plan, but you're open to anything that can come. Kahali Pinto.
Okay, so these countries that you have explored, and one thing I missed asking you, how you met Prashant?
Achha.
Like how you guys met each other?
Prashant and I met in Pune, where I was working. I used to ride in on my bullet from 40 kilometers outside of Pune, where I taught in a college, ride into the city, looking for friends, looking for interesting young people. And one friend, Zuri, told me, come pick me up at this artist residency. It was TIFA, Tilera Institute for Fine Arts. And there was an international Koj artist residency being hosted there. Prashant was one of the hosts. So the doors opened and these incredible artists from around the world came out. And Prashant, I had ridden through the monsoon rains. I was shaking with cold, and he gave me warm dal. He gave me a fresh shirt, kurtana, and we became best mates.
So you like Indian food?
Yeah, I love Indian food. Yeah.
Okay. Like which is your
I love
favorite?
achar. Any homemade achar.
Oh, okay.
I love liti chokha in Bihar. I love chai. I love any like proper homemade food.
So you have tasted, the local mithais, khaja and all?
Yeah. Even coming, like on the ride, coming to this part of India, we'd meet Prashant's family in some village here or there in Bhojpur, in Jharkhand, and we'd arrive and they would just give us prasad directly into the mouth, not even helmet off, still on the gari, and then it was incredible. Great Bhojpuri hospitality.
That is good. I'm imagining that.
Yeah. I think I gained like 10 kilos in Bihar.
Okay.
And then lost it building the center.
Achha. So when was the last time you went back home?
I've only just returned now for the first time in 7 years. So I've been abroad. I've been in Mexico, in Scotland, and what's been very interesting is I've been in these different parts of the world where different nations around the world, in Canada and Mexico and Scotland, are fighting for similar things. Fighting to build up the resilience they need as communities to overcome climate change, to overcome capitalism, to overcome colonial forms of government. So now when I come back here, I see that the work we're doing here and the work that many people in Bihar are doing to create solutions doesn't stand alone. It's part of a global movement to say enough is enough. We recognize that these global systems of extractivism, of colonialism, what have you, are not helping us, and we need to create our own grassroots, community-led solutions. So in this sense, the Center of Resilience is one small dot on a map around the world of community centers and community projects starting to bring about positive change for food sovereignty, to defend their language and native culture, all of these things that we need to be doing.
So you're with your family here, or you're just...
No, I've just traveled here for 2 months to support on the ground, because as an international director, I can support so much from a laptop overseas, but I wanted to come back also to see this place now. Like, we built this with our own hands 7 years ago, and now I get to enjoy literally the fruits of our labors. Come. So the different elements of what's grown here, Prashant can tell you better, but it's all part of the sustainable living program that we run at the center, which is experimenting with different forms of nurseries, of how to bring more diversity into the land, how to build soil. Because we know that monoculture farming, if you only have one grain, one crop, it depletes the nutrients in the soil.
Yes, that is happening with rice in Punjab and Haryana.
And imagine if all of India, if the bread belt of India, if Bihar, if we deplete the soil, there will be mass starvation. So partly we're working on that, but also having bamboo in the right place to cool the wind coming into the house, natural cooling systems, creating biodiversity. There are mongoose that live here, there are giant lizards, there are bird species that have returned to this part of Ara. So this is an oasis in the middle of a concrete jungle, and this is also a model of development that we're trying to promote. That look, if you have a piece of land, don't build cement in every inch of it. Maintain some land for your gardens, to have a space for nature, because we humans are only one species. We need to remember our brothers, our sisters, the birds, the reptiles, to live together.
In simple word, ecosystem.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one thing, like if you want to add something from your end, you can add, or I can move to the last question.
Go on. Yeah.
One thing I just want to understand that when it comes to climate change, people generally have a blind eye, right? And most of the people will say that, you know, big businessmen are there, government is there, they're not doing anything. Then why should I care, right? So this is the attitude that they have, and even on the government side, that you'll see that they promise in G20, they go on, you know, here and there, and they promise that this will happen, this will happen. But on the ground level, that is not happening, we all know, right? And government blame it on public, and public simply blames it on government. So to the coming generation, or to our generation, right, what kind of things you want to say to them so that they can understand these things, and they will invest some time to understand the ecosystem properly, and they will build something like this?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we are beyond having the opportunity of despair. Despair means that we know we are doomed, so I'll just give up and be depressed and accept our fate. We cannot have despair because we don't know what's coming. We don't fully understand climate change. We know that we don't. The best climate change analysts know that we don't know what will come in 10, 20 years. Therefore, we cannot despair. We have to have hope. So we have to start realizing we are part of this earth. Instead of despairing, we need to be part of the change to come. And when you shift from despair to hope, you will feel better. You'll wake up in the morning with more energy. When you see the plant that you planted a year ago grow and bear fruit, you'll feel, because we aren't meant to destroy Earth. We're meant to be stewards of the natural world. That's how humans have been for thousands of years. So it's really returning to our original way of doing things.
Sure. And also, I think that will also add up if mainstream media or news channels will start talking more about it, so that people will understand that this is something also important.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. It was lovely talking to you.
Thank you so much. It's incredible work you're doing.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah. We were planning to wait 3 years before officially opening as a center to get core funding, build a team, but COVID-19 happened, and millions of Bihari migrants were coming back home now. So
that was the biggest tragedy that I have seen in my life.
I can imagine. And so overnight we turned the center into a food distribution place. So tens of thousands of people we were feeding on the street. Prashant leading the work on the ground, created a regional network of villagers. Villagers donating what they could, grains, crops, rice, delivering blankets to people sleeping on the streets. So like this, the center never had a time to really prepare itself. We launched with crisis relief work from day one with no funding, no team. And that way we've always worked in a very grassroots way. The only power we have is the power of communities around here who want to support the work.
तो भैया ये थी स्कॉटलैंड से आए बिहार की और दुनियादारी की समझ रखने वाले बेन की कहानी। अगले एपिसोड में मिलवाते हैं आपको इनके ही मित्र, हमारे आरा भोजपुर के रहने वाले कुमार प्रशांत से, जो कि पेशे से तो स्क्रैप आर्टिस्ट हैं, पर अपने कलाकारी और जुगाड़ से बिहार के बाढ़ की समस्या को सुलझाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं।
एक ऐसा घर जो बाढ़ के समय वो पानी पे तैरने लगे, वो अपनी खाना उगाने में सक्षम हो, वो कम्प्लीटली नेचुरल मटेरियल से बना हो, और इतना ही नहीं, उसकी कंस्ट्रक्शन बिल्कुल माइनस कार्बन फुटप्रिंट